Hi, my name is Tori Pritchett, and today is April 18, 2023. And this week, there were 30 reported cases of COVID-19 in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County area, which shows a 52% decrease over the last 2 weeks. Therefore, each subject is comfortable not wearing a mask. And today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Ms. Deanna. I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Deanna VanBuren. I am a MSW graduate student, first year. I am also retired military, 23 years, and I am from Louisiana.
All right. And Ms. Deanna, where's home for you right now?
Right now, home away from home is Charlotte, but I still call Louisiana home.
Okay. And how long have you been in the Charlotte area?
2003.
Okay.
Too long.
Do you plan on staying here?
Now, at first I wasn't. I was gonna leave once my daughter graduated because I moved so many times, and it didn't happen that way.
All right. And if we could, I know we did a activity before we started the AMAC activity. Could you share some things that you wrote down?
Okay. When you talked about, I think you said 3 things. I don't know if it's something that meant something to me. I don't know. I can't remember.
Your past, your journey.
Yeah, journeys. And so it was motherhood. I'm a single mother, one child, and then military. It's been rewarding, both traumatic and everything at the same time, but I wouldn't change it. I would still join the military. That was, if someone said, would you join the military? I would still join it. And being Black in the South, that means living in a place like Louisiana. Growing up, when I grew up, it was kind of difficult growing up.
You could explain that for me. How was it difficult for you?
I grew up where I went to school at was like 98% white, and a lot of people of European descendants, well, white people, nigger was a common word. If you were Black, they didn't see you as going to college or obtaining a higher education. There was a lot of, I won't say, definitely racism, but marginalizing and oppressed. They would put like Black people, most everybody would put them in like resource classes, or I don't know what they call them now, but they would put you in resource classes. And I would never forget that I was put in resource classes for reading, and it still kind of makes me angry till this day, because if you gave me a book with 300 or 400 pages in it, I could read like two or three of those books in a day. But that's how it was in the South. Almost like now, like it's turning back into now. White is right. That's the belief, but that's not my belief.
Okay, gotcha. And with you describing that journey, how was it for you when it comes to being a single mother?
Especially in the military, it was hard. When I first left my daughter, she was only 6 months old, and I was gone almost a year. And when I came back from my military deployment, she was scared of me. She didn't know who I was, but I tried to get her. She would cry and scream and everything. So it was like kind of heartbreaking, because I missed her first birthday. I missed when she started walking. There was a lot of things that I missed. And like I say, when I returned, she didn't know who I was. She was scared of me. So I want to say getting acclimated or getting used to my daughter getting used to me again, that was kind of like a little difficult. It was heartbreaking.
And with you all being, with her being a little older now, is the relationship better?
Yes, the relationship is better, but she's still her attitude self. But I guess I would say our relationship is like, just depends on what day she wake up. But I know that she cares for me, but every once in a while she'll do something crazy, and it has me second guessing sometimes. But then she'll say something, then I know, but the rigmarole, sometimes you don't want to deal with it.
All right. And how would you describe yourself?
Now, because self-esteem was beat down growing up in the South. They beat you down with your self-esteem, nappy hair, nigga, black, So it took a little bit. I'm still dealing with the self-esteem issue. Sometimes I still, have little issues. I'll second guess myself. And then other times I'm like, okay, who are you looking at or what you doing? But not in a mean way.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends sometimes, you get in that mood where you feel like that. Right now, I do know I need to lose weight. For me personally, I'm not used to being this size. So right now, some of my self-esteem's like, because weight-wise. But that's something that I have to deal with. Pushing weight from the table is not always working because it's not the food that I eat. I think it just has to do with getting older and certain things happening to you.
All right. And do you think COVID played a part in that, or?
I think having too much freaking class homework had played a large part in it. But also, I got injured in the military, so I had quite a few surgeries like straight in a row, where I used to like at least 5 days a week. I would do 7 miles. I would run 4 and walk 3 every day. But after I started having these surgeries, then I was no longer able to do the physical things that I was doing. So I know I won't get back 100%, but I do want to start doing things again. And in 2 more weeks when school is over with, I will start walking and doing other things that I used to do because I want to get back to my old self when I was more active.
Okay, that's good. That's a good goal, especially after school. It's the summertime. You have a lot of time to work towards your goals. Now, what do you remember from the early days of the pandemic?
I was an undergraduate student at UNCC, and I think that it was, before it was known as, COVID, I think that people were getting sick prior because there was a couple of family members that was really, really sick and they couldn't figure out what was going on with them. Mm-hmm. But it was scary in a way because I lost my uncle passed away from COVID. The whole entire family had it. And he was the one who was getting better, but then all of a sudden, it was like he was no longer here. And my daughter, when it was the variant, I forgot which one it was, and I thought that COVID was going to take her, so it was kind of scary and kind of made me angry that people didn't take it serious and they made it political. Mm-hmm. So that kind of pissed me off. But in a way, the good thing came out of COVID because of the George Floyd thing, and I believe that if COVID wouldn't have happened, people wouldn't. I don't think the way people took up for what happened. It was against the police brutality. I don't think people would have realized how things was going for Black people and how they continue to go. As far as way cops treat people, racism, and just all kind of things that oppress people of color.
Okay, and with all that happening, how would you describe your experience going out in public?
I wore my mask. We had sanitizer and everything. I took it seriously. Like I said, it ticked me off that they made it political. Like when kids were going to school in certain areas, we live in a Republican area. The parents didn't want the kids to wear a mask. But hell, on Halloween you wore a mask. And if your daddy was, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to make it about race, but hey, we got some time. It is about race. And if your great-grandparents, parents, or whatever was part of KKK, you was wearing a mask, but you want to complain about wearing a mask for COVID to, protect people, and it was medically proved that it was real. Yeah, I wore my mask, but I ended up getting COVID. Mm-hmm. And I think it was because I caught myself trying to do some, not DoorDash, what's the little grocery cart?
Instacart?
Yes. And I was always touching those carts, and I was good at cleaning my hand, and I think I just slipped. And yes, I had COVID, but thank God I had the vaccination, and it wasn't as bad. So I took the vaccination, and I believe that saved me and also my daughter.
Okay, that is good. And did it change your normal routines after that happened, after you
Even
had
now,
COVID?
yes, yeah, it changed because like when somebody's sick, you immediately get a mask and stuff like that. I don't wear the mask as much as I used to. At my placement, we'll wear it sometimes when there's like a big spread of somebody's being sick, throwing up or whatever, and because there are cases of COVID that's still going on where I intern at and everything.
Okay. And as far as the process, how was that for you transitioning, when it comes to the restrictions that were placed, like being 6 feet apart?
I think that if it would have been political and when we decided to open everything back up around Easter time to celebrate and to satisfy the people in power, the people who had money, I think if we would have stayed closed, I don't think as many people would have died. And so I think less people would have died, But I'm glad the restrictions, the 6 feet apart. People were dying. It's not fake. So people who saying it's fake, like I said, I lost family members. I had people that were sick that was almost dying from it. So, it's not fake. It should have been more. Should have been more restrictions. Should have been longer. That's my personal belief.
And how has your life changed since March 2020? So that's when it kind of began.
Like I said, tomorrow's not promised to anybody. You try to take that more serious, and a lot of people were saying it's a hoax or came from China. Don't really care where it came from. Doesn't matter where it came from. People were dying, and if you didn't want to believe in COVID, they were dying from something. So, I guess the next pandemic, which I don't know if we'll be here for it, because the flu, when way more people die from the flu than from COVID. So it's just something that you take it serious. So and you try to be careful when you're around people, especially when you're like older people and people that may have immune compromise. So you try to make sure that you probably like wash your hands more.
Mm-hmm.
I have sanitizer and wipes in the car now that I carry all the time. So you're more aware now. You try to be more sanitary in what you do.
Yes. And during that time, I know you mentioned how, you lost your uncle.
Yes.
And, so during that time, how did you and your family stay connected?
We always talk. We always talk on the phone. Christmas 20. I think it was 2020. No, Christmas 2020. I think it's 2020. And yeah, Christmas 2020. And what we did is that we did travel because they were letting people travel, but we all quarantined in the same house, and we no one else was around. We all stayed in the same, But luckily, my mom was going to go take presents to my uncle's family that I had, brought from North Carolina to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
But she decided not to, and I'm glad she didn't. Because they, a couple days after Christmas, we found out before Christmas they had COVID. So, and my mom would have been, and then all of us would have been sick.
And what's your normal Christmas tradition?
We take turns having Christmas at, altogether I have 2 sisters And I had 3 brothers. One of my brothers passed away, but that was before COVID. And I'm kind of glad that he wasn't here for COVID. I don't know if he would have survived COVID because he had juvenile diabetes and issues. So I don't know if he would have survived COVID and stuff like that. Train of thought just went that side. And ask the question again.
Let's see, what did I initially asked? What were the normal?
How we stay connected.
Yes.
The tradition, Christmas tradition. Like I said, we take turns. I have family in Texas, family in Louisiana, and here. So we take turns, and like this year, what will Christmas be at? Last year was at my sister's house. It might be in Texas, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go to Texas for Christmas or not. I may go to Louisiana if it's in Louisiana. So either it's in Texas or Louisiana.
Okay. Gotcha. And what is something that you gained from the pandemic?
Like I said, tomorrow was not promised to anyone. You saw and heard a lot of, I don't want to call people dummies, but a lot of, I don't want to call them widows either, but you could pretty much see, but it was hard to understand, like some people were so adamant that COVID wasn't real until a family member died, or like the House of Prayer, where over 100 members came down with COVID, and a lot of people died from that. And you were like, really? You guys don't believe this is real? And then next thing you know, they would get sick. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that was like certain political parties believed that it wasn't real until then you see them on the camera telling people to take the COVID vaccination. And then you had someone who, one of our leaders who had it, but he had every doctor, at his hand, from across the world. People like you and I, the everyday Joe Smo or whatever, we didn't have that access. He had the access to like I said, to the smartest people in the world for a cure for COVID, or the medicine or the vaccination, however you want to say it. I won't say cure, but I think certain people put a lot of people at risk, and a lot of people died because of stupidity. So, yeah. But it's real. And like I said, you saw a lot of people, their ugliness came out. Mm-hmm. Ugliness and stupidity. And I'm not taking away the stupidity. I don't normally call people names, but stupidity.
All right. And is there any stories that you would like to tell, any additional stories that you would like to tell? Or any experiences that you would like to share, something that you would highlight?
Well, every year, and I normally don't say anything about it, but the year before last, they did the newspaper thing, and what I'm talking about is the 4th of July. When my daughter was, like I said, when I was in the military, my daughter would have to go home. And so during the 4th of July or something, I would take fireworks. And then every year it just got bigger and bigger. Like it started like $20, $40, $50, $100, $200, $300, $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000.
How much you were spending?
$2,000, $2,500 fireworks show. I'm from a small town, a small community, but we'd have people come from other little towns and community and watch the fireworks show. Mm-hmm. And it would last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And I would make bags for all the kids in my community. Mm-hmm. Put candy and fireworks, because I know how it was, because I grew up dirt poor. And, we shot fireworks, but we didn't have a whole lot. But, it was whatever our mom could afford and everything, because she, couldn't afford a lot. She wasn't single. My mom was married, but she still raised us by herself. So I just started doing it. And it's a tradition, and they wrote a thing up in the newspaper and stuff. So they surprised me. I was a little embarrassed, because I'm not really good when people like say, "Hey, give me compliments" and stuff like that. I'm not really good at that. So And I don't do stuff for the companies. I do it because it makes my heart happy.
And that's amazing.
Yeah. So.
You plan on doing it again?
Yep. Yeah, every year, I do it every year. I already know where I'm going to go get my forks this year, find a new place where they're cheaper. And it's a lot of fun. Every year somebody always blow up mortar forward and people running, or they'll catch, we call it the hill because we live above everybody else. It's like living in the foothills, but in Louisiana. And anybody that comes from the city that goes to Louisiana, guarantee you're like, oh, can I go back? Because we'll do all kinds of stuff. We'll go mud hogging, that's with four-wheelers, dirt bikes, Arctic eggs. You'll see black cowboys in Louisiana, so yeah. Loads of fun. You will be spoiled.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. And so what advice would you give to someone that may go through a pandemic or endure a pandemic? What piece of advice would you share to kind of like keep them motivated or know, things will get better?
Well, and I actually had to do that. And I said my neighbor, but she's not my neighbor anymore. But one of my neighbors had 17 kids, and the kids were really scared about COVID. And so, and they were scared to go outside. And I had to tell them that you can go outside and, just have to wash your hands and you wear a mask. But they ended up going to schools where they didn't believe in the mask. And the kids did get sick, but thank God no one got like deathly ill or anything like that. I would, tell people if you believe in God or whatever your religion is, pray. Whatever religion you practice, pray. And if you don't believe in God, if you believe in a higher being, or you believe, somebody put us here, we didn't put ourselves here. And, just, hey, you already know what happened in one pandemic. Don't take life for granted. Some people, no matter what you say, they're going to do whatever they want to do. So, you got to learn your lesson, but everybody not going to learn their lesson. Some people going to do what they want to do because it's all about politics instead of being about people dying and how can you prevent this? People being selfish. Don't be selfish. Think about others even if you don't think about yourself.
That's a cool way to look at it. All right. Well, Miss Tina, is there any other stories that you would like to share? Okay. Well, the Living Archive team definitely appreciates you for taking the time out to share your amazing story. Okay. Thank you.